Flushfest.
We're back.
Episode number
7. This is episode 7.
Yeah,
Welcome
really?
back.
Really? 7.
Flushfest.
Sans Thunder, but now with a new edition. A very exciting edition, actually. And
Got a special guest on today.
yeah,
Is there someone coming in?
Thunder has been
coming in
replaced.
later. Now, we should introduce you.
Okay.
You can do that yourself, I think. You're a professional.
Really? I got to do it myself.
Yeah.
Tim Matthews?
Yeah, Tim.
There you go.
Yeah, what am I, like in third grade? I just moved into town or something? That's right.
Yeah.
Tim Matthews. We
Tell
moved
us
here from
one funny
Toledo.
story about you.
Cub likes to ask all of our guests, tell us one interesting
One
fact
interesting fact.
No, you don't have to do that.
No,
Okay,
please don't do that yet.
Okay, don't.
Well, an interesting story, I guess, real quick, is how we know each other. And that's through I think the genesis was through a mutual friend
Yeah, in Huntsville.
in Huntsville.
Yeah, we all were in prison. We were all in C Block C. Yeah, and Huntsville. Yeah, Ryan Osborne. Let's give him some props.
He
Ryan Osborne.
jumped the wall. He's out. He's around.
Yeah.
But man, Oz is just the greatest guy in the world.
He's
And-
lending me his truck tomorrow.
Which one?
He's got a flatbed, and I need to pick up a table that
Off
I
the
don't have
Dodge.
room for in my SUV. And I said, "Hey, I need a truck." And he goes, "Well, you can use my," Ryan. Ryan's like Fred Sanford. If he can put crap in the back of his truck and make money off of it, whether it's airline parts or he's got what he's doing trailers, like horse trailers. And I talked to him on like Sunday. I go, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Well, I'm in Sweetwater." "What are you doing in Sweetwater?" "I had to pick up a trailer," and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Well, you play golf.
That's
with him,
Ryan.
and you'll be he'll be over the ball, and there'll be an airplane going over his
Yes,
head,
and he knows.
He won't even look up. He'll say, "It's a Cessna 182. It's got about 4,000 hours on it. And it's painted white.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
flying northeast."
Yeah,
How do you,
yeah.
I used to think he was making it up, but I fact checked him, and it checks out.
It's heading
can
for
look
El
him up.
Paso.
He'll-
Yeah,
and
it'll be
he'll-
landing in about 13 minutes.
He'll look him up on the little flight tracker and then show you. Be like, see what I said? See?
He knows.
I've also never played golf with a guy that does this as much. Hey, what do you do
yeah.
right now? He's like
he's
a
a big
spy.
Apple
He's
Watch
talking on his
guy.
Apple Watch the whole time.
He's always got his crew.
I love that.
Which his phone has to be this close to him.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
He's done
100%.
talking to his phone. He goes, "Yeah, what are you doing? Hey, what's
what are
going
you
on?" I go, "Why don't you just talk in your damn phone, idiot? It's like right here in your other hand." He
You
goes,
won't do it.
"No, this is better." I'm like,
He's always got to pay his guys off. He's
So
running around.
What is he charging you for this truck, this flatbed?
"Nothing so far.
wow.
No, nothing so far.
right, all right.
I mean, it'll be something at some point."
Yeah.
Yeah, put that.
But
in writing.
I do play at Stevens Park, which is a Muni course here in Dallas. For those who aren't in Dallas, that's probably the best Muni course in
Great-
Dallas.
great
Right,
course.
kind of cool, right off of downtown, and you see really cool views of downtown. And I know the guys there, so they let me play for free and bring somebody if I want. Not you guys, but other people get to play for free. And so Ryan's played there with me 27 times, or 50 times.
It's one of the
So
most
at some point-
underrated courses in Dallas.
Yeah, it's a cool course. Now, it gets beat up a little bit because it's so overused, right,
Yeah.
by so many people. But it's a great local course, and it's very convenient for a lot of people and everything else. So Ryan, I think, realizes that I've entertained him a number of times. I think a round of golf at Stevens Park is $75 maybe, or something like that, right? It's not very
I
much.
think you get 10 or 15 rounds out of him for.
So the fact that he's done that now times, he does the math in his head, which Ryan knows the money.
Oh, yeah.
If you know Ryan, he's down to the nickel. And it's like, well, okay, well, you probably played in the last couple of months. We played. Yeah, you can have my truck. Yeah, you can have. He's doing the math in his head while he goes, yeah, you can have my truck.
knows he owes you.
When he's losing money come hole 9, he might have to leave and go take care of some
Doesn't
work.
he? Doesn't he do that a lot?
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys next week.
If he's in the black, he seems to stick around. But God love him. He's just one of the best. We need to have him on.
But that's
He's
how we all
great.
met each other, to the conclusion of that. Yeah, that's how we is through Ryan and then Royal Oaks, because Ryan's at Royal Oaks with you guys. And I used to be at Royal Oaks a long, long time ago, so familiar with the whole thing and Randy and all that. And so, yeah, that's how I got together with you guys and great Hammerback clothing that you guys are doing now. By the way, I am kind of curious.
Yeah.
The next evolution of Hammerback is what? More different styles of shirts, or are you going to do the quarter zips, or are you going to do
got-
shorts, or what?
Q-zips and hoodies coming. We've got a summer shirt coming.
No, we've got some college.
I got some college prints coming.
College prints coming for-
gloves. We got gloves.
I'm an Irish fan. Do you get Notre Dame stuff?
No. No, we're going to start
Tell
with
me
our
it's
own
not all
colleges
Baylor,
first.
is it? It's just Baylor. I'm not wearing Baylor.
Sick and Bears.
No, you're going to get TCU, OSU, Baylor, Oklahoma State,
OSU,
Baylor,
at Ohio State.
Yeah, you're going to get Baylor and A&M because that's our colleges. So we're going to sell them to our local networks there first. And
Put
then,
the Irish on the list.
yeah, we're going to just kind of put it
the
out
thing
to
is,
the crowd and
like
see
you say,
what
you
what
mention
people
it.
want.
You mention this to anybody, and
They're
they
national.
go, "What about the?" I mean, there's 10,000 schools, and everybody wants one. But I didn't know you were at Royal Oaks.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I'm not now, but I'm at Prestonwood now. But I was at Royal Oaks back in the day. And I say back in the day, I don't know, but at some point I was a sports anchor at Channel 11. And so I think probably because of that, and they thought I would maybe in between giving highlights or sports, going, and Pudge Rodriguez with a home run, Royal Oaks Country Club, brings in 3 runs here and the Rangers win. It's 5. I thought that they thought I would throw in Royal Oaks every chance I got on the air.
I get kind of excited when they mention it whenever Scotty plays. They go, he's at Dallas at Royal
So
Oaks.
I sent, I think I sent you guys the video. I don't know who shot it or who did it, but there was a video that someone sent to me. They're like, "Oh, did you see that Royal Oaks Scotty video?" And I go, "No." And it was him standing at the players. It was at the players, yeah. And there's a bush right, behind him or whatever. And someone's going behind and going, "Scotty."
Comcast Business, Optum, and Morgan Stanley. They allow us to present this tournament to all of you watching from home with limited commercial interruptions. So we appreciate their support.
Yes, sir. Royal Oaks, baby, Royal Oaks.
They
And it's
parted the
and
bushes.
They parted the
Yeah.
bush. And then Scotty finally turns around and he kind of smiles and Royal Oaks.
That was on the podium during the actual trophy presentation.
Really?
Yeah, all
While Monahan's talking.
Which one? The last couple of two tournaments that he won?
Yeah.
The players?
It was fun. Yeah, it was
He's
so
standing
funny.
on the podium, and Monahan's talking, and somebody sneaks through the bushes behind him and starts
That
talking.
was fantastic.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Royal Oaks, give them some props here. They should be paying for this, right? But Royal Oaks has got a pretty rich history when you think of even nationally, country clubs around the country, whether it's Shinnecock or Marion or whatever. Royal Oaks from, Trevino, Don January, and
Faraday,
more recently Faraday and Justin Leonard and all that. I mean,
Palmer. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Palmer.
So here's my Justin Leonard story. You want my Justin Leonard story?
Yeah.
So way back when, I don't even know what year this is, but probably late 90s or so. No, mid 90s, early 90s. I go out and Hank Haney had just come into town and took over as director of golf at Stonebridge, right up in McKinney, right up north of Dallas. And somehow I don't even know the whole story, but he says, "Hey, would you like an honorary membership here?" Which, it's like asking a 5-year-old, "Do you want ice cream?"
Yeah.
Yes, I would like an honorary membership.
And you were doing
Are
TV, you were doing TV at the time?
Yeah,
Just TV?
yeah. So I was at Channel 11 at the time, and I'm like, "Are you asking me? Do I want a membership here that I don't have to pay anything for?" Give me a second. Yeah, I'll do that. So I'm a member there, and one day I go up there to play, and it's a bit of a haul, right? It's not nearly as close as it is now because of the tollway and everything else, but it was a bit of a haul. And he says to me, and I go up there and I say, "I'm going to play by myself." And he goes, "Well, do you mind if I put you for the few guys?" I go, "No, it's okay." So I'm on the first tee, and comes down a cart and 2 carts, and they get out, and there's 3 guys. And they're all like teenagers, right? And I'm not that old at this point, but I'm 25-ish or so. But still, I'm like, "Oh, God, really?" And it's like that commercial. Remember, there was an old commercial where a guy steps up at golf course, and the members all roll their eyes, and he blows a big bubble because he's like a 14-year-old. He's like, "Hey, you want to play?" And then he just rips one down the middle. That's what it was like. So these 3 guys get out of the golf cart, and they introduce, and they're like, "Oh, Timm Matthews. Yeah, hey, Randy said we could play with you. Yeah, Timm Matthews. Thank you." And we all introduce, and a little bit, kind of, I don't pay attention because I'm like, I don't care who you are. Just don't get in my way, kid.
I'm on TV. I don't care who you are.
And you punks, don't get in my way. And so I hit my tee shot, and it's just whatever, it's fine. And the first guy steps up, and he goes, I'm like, "Wow, that's a nice shot. And the next guy steps up, and it's like, farther. I'm like, "Good going, way to go." The third guy steps, I'm like, "Holy crap." I'm like, what's your guys' names again?" And I'm not kidding you. The first guy steps up, and he goes, "I'm Justin Leonard." And they're all like in high school still, or somewhere around there, right? 19, 18. The next guy goes, "I'm Hank Keeney." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "I'm Trip Keeney. I'm his brother, Trip Keeney." Well, for those who don't know, Justin Leonard, you probably know, and wins a U.S. Amateur. Hank Keeney wins a U.S. Amateur and goes on to play professional and is now the director of golf at Vaquero.
Yep.
Trip Keeney is his brother, who is the guy that is notorious for blowing a 3-shot lead at the U.S. Amateur to Tiger Woods. He had him down by 3 with 3 to go. Tiger ties him and wins an extra holes.
He was on the pre. They did a little special on him this week, last weekend, or
because that was at Sawgrass, right? When he blew the lead.
Yes.
When that famous video, Tiger making the putt, doing the huge.
And Tiger's got the shorts on.
He's got the baggy.
He weighed 142 points.
Oh yeah,
142 pounds.
Do you
and
think
everything.
they tell the other side of the story when they're telling their friends, "Hey, that guy on TV, Timm Matthews"?
Because I noticed he had
told us to
he had
away.
a Vaquero shirt on
Those
in
are the three
special.
guys. Those are the 3 freaking guys that I'm playing with, which meant nothing to me at the time because they hadn't accomplished what they did later. But I'm going, okay, I kind of think you guys are going to be good. I don't know, but you guys play golf much? I mean, those are the 3 guys I played with, and the whole rest of the 18 holes, I'm like just hitting the ball and just trying. I'm out of breath. I'm trying to keep up with these 3 punks that I thought, like seriously, Hank, what'd you stick me with? Why am I playing with these guys?
So
it's
you're
fun.
talking about memberships and sport and golf clubs. This is a sports-related trivia question. Who's the only person who has ever not accepted membership at Augusta National?
You know, that's interesting because everybody thinks if you've won at Augusta, you're a member. That's not the truth at all. Most of those guys are not members. You get an invitation in
the mail. But there's one person who was not
offered a membership and did not accept it.
And I'll tell you the story behind it.
I know there are a few.
You need to give him a hint.
There's a few.
He's a famous football coach, relevant to the state of Texas. Okay,
hang on, Darrell Royal.
Darrell Royal is the only person to not accept membership.
And why did he not?
Because it was spring training, or he was in training. He was with the team. The invitation arrives in the mail. His wife opens it, sees something golf from the state of Georgia, throws it in the trash. About 3 weeks later, Clifford Roberts, chairman of Augusta at the time, calls up the house. Coach isn't there, and she answers the phone, Royal residence, and he says, Mrs. Royal, this is Clifford Roberts. I'm the chairman of Augusta National Golf Club. We sent an invitation for membership to your husband. It's very unusual that we don't hear back. And she cuts him off in the middle of the story, and she goes, well, I got your invitation in the mail. My husband plays enough golf as it is, and he's not going to be part of any golf club that's not in the state of Texas. Thank you very much, and hangs up. Never told him about it. And somebody brought it up to him like a decade later and said, we've heard you.
Like he didn't even know.
He didn't even know.
Wow.
And he goes, what are you talking about? He said, well, your wife declined. And he was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Divorce proceedings started the next day.
To be fair, he didn't decline it.
No, right. Yeah,
But
he didn't even know.
But and he's like, well, can I get back? What about now?
Okay,
sorry,
but I got to ask. I mean,
That's
shouldn't
bad.
Cliff Roberts have somehow gotten hold of the man he actually tried to give
You
and
would
not
think
take
so.
the
You would
wife's
think.
answer to this question?
You would think so.
I mean, that's kind of stupid on his part to go, we'd like your husband to, but you answer for him if you don't mind. And you're like, oh, no, he plays enough golf.
I guess he figured, don't mess with her. She's pretty stern.
Wow.
But
Got to get your household.
Well,
order.
you hear enough stories about Augusta National. There's a little bit of an ego there. He probably took it personal and just go down the list.
By the way, here's a good story, or not story, but trivia is, and I heard this from a very reliable source, that Tiger Woods went to Augusta in the last couple of years with Charlie, his son, right? Who's, as we all know, kind of a up and coming or trying to be a good golfer, to play golf, and called to Augusta to say because Tiger's not a member. People think if you win, and certainly if you're Tiger or Jacker, you're not. There have been very few Masters winners that are actually members.
Palmer.
Arnie
They
was.
still have to play with a member, right?
Well, Palmer was a member. He
Yes,
was made
Palmer
a member.
was. But Tiger went with his son and called and said, hey, I'd like to come and play with my, and was told, we don't have, now you have to, he was told, no, we don't have a member to play with you, and you're not a member. I'm going, yeah, but you kind of know he's Tiger. You kind of know who he is, right? He's not there to hack up the course for you. They did not let him play with Charlie.
Oh my God!
Wow.
And somebody told me, and that's from a very I totally trust
believe
who this
it
person is,
100%.
that they would not let him play because their rules, by God, are their rules, and we know that from all the incidents that have happened there, right, where the women were protesting because they weren't members and all. They will not budge from their rules. And Gary Player told me this, and I played with Gary Player because I was wearing.
He sent the pictures.
I was wearing Hammerback, baby.
That wasn't long ago though.
No, it was last year.
Yeah.
I was playing with Gary Player, actually last fall, not even a year ago.
I was saying November or something.
Yeah, and playing in Philadelphia where he's won his first major, and he said, "I'll do my best Gary Player. This is my South African. This is my South African." He goes, and Tim, I'm telling you right now, I went there. And I said, I want to play, and I've won there 3 times. I've won at Masters 3 times. I wanted to play, and I'm 88 years old. I wanted to play with my son, my 2 sons, and my grandson. I wanted to, because I don't know how many more I'm going to play. I don't know. And I asked him, I said, can I go play with my son and my grandsons? And he says it like this, with raging eyes. He goes, and they told me no. They told me no. You cannot play if we. He goes, and I'm saying, I just want to play with him. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be. He went nuts. I'm like
Pretty
I'm
good
back
accent, by the way.
as he's saying,
Impersonation.
as he's saying this, I'm backing up, going, okay,
Yeah,
because he's going they would not let Gary Player play with his
That's wild.
sons and his grandchildren as kind of a last chance. Hey, let's all go, buddies.
How do they
this
not
after-
have a
was-
member that's just hanging around for
But was
guys
this
like
after
that? Though?
there was
Like,
something with?
I'll go
Was it
play.
Gary Player's son
clear
at
my
the
Wednesdays.
Masters?
Yes.
Was this
Yes.
after that? Because I could
No,
understand.
it was before that, and
Okay.
that's an incident, right? You're referencing that his son. He has a
I don't
couple of
wanna
sons. He has
throw
one son.
stones, but
He has one son that when Gary was there to do the ceremonial tee shots, right, with I guess Jack and Arnie.
Yep.
His son was caddying for him. Got somebody. I'm saying this very but his held up a dozen golf balls from
whatever.
Hammerback golf balls, right? Whatever.
We don't make golf balls. It
We
wasn't
don't make
us.
golf balls. It wasn't
Yeah,
Hammerback.
yeah.
us.
But it just name a company that he had somebody gave him money to hold him up.
Right.
So while he's being interviewed on the first tee, his son is behind. Now his son is 54 years old,
Yeah.
right? It's not like his teenage son,
Yeah.
goofy and stupid. It's old enough to know he's holding up the golf balls behind him, which they made really obvious. This is what he's doing, and they
said he can't come back.
They said, Gary,
So I didn't
your
know if
son
it was-
can never come on this golf course again.
So if it was after that, I didn't know. But
No.
it's before that. Now, have you ever played? Have you?
At Augusta?
Yeah.
No.
I have
been close?
No, I have not. I've been close.
I haven't. I haven't
Whatever that means, but I've been close. Yeah.
I actually had a business meeting this morning with a good buddy who I've done some deals with, and he played Augusta about 6 months ago.
Well, good
He
for
was telling
him.
us about it. He said the interesting part about playing Augusta is, you think championship golf course is super hard, but he said everybody who goes out there recreationally, you all play one set of tees, was what he was saying that day. And he said it's about 6,400 yards. He said, well, think about who the normal members are.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
They're not
Well, there
everyday
was a guy-
athletes. So he said, you would be surprised from 6,400 yards. He said, there's no rough, wide fairways from up there. He said, it's actually very, very manageable.
Well,
Yeah.
there was a guy who's in Dallas who used to work with Boone Pickens when he was alive, and Boone was a member. And I would ask him, has Boone ever taken you to Augusta? And he said, no. He was trying to work up the nerve. He said, I think this is the year I'm going to do it.
How do I
I'm
ask?
going to go to Boone, and I'm going to say at the end of the year, instead of bonusing me, whatever you're going to do, would you take
However many millions it might be.
would you take? He was an analyst, but would you take a little bit off, and in exchange for that, would you take me to Augusta? And he said, I got to the door and I was going to ask him, and Boone was a little cranky that day. The market was down. I didn't ask him. Next year, it's about to be time, and Boone passes away, and he's like, I should have asked him. Son of a bitch. I was right there. He's like, I'm sure he would have done it. He would have said, what the hell, let's go. He's it's my only chance. So he never did it. But you were close.
I had a couple of friends who played professional hockey here in town, and they had their owner, Tom Hicks, was a member.
Yeah.
And they were going, and he said, hey, I think we got an opening if you want to. Like, that's an answer. I'm not Darrell Royal's wife. I'm not going, no. He plays, and I play plenty of golf.
I really got stuff to
Why
do.
would I go to play at that Augusta place? I'm like, yes. And the call didn't come. He called me when they landed. In
Oh, that's such a team.
in Hicks plane.
Oh, that's so
In
bad.
Hicks plane, and they're like, he got a buddy of his that wanted him. Like, Okay, no problem.
Not mad at
I'm
all.
like right there. I'm like, my bags are packed, right? I'm like, I got a golf bag on my shoulder. I'm like, I'm dressed in a golf shirt and everything. I'm like, let's just go. I'm ready.
That's so
And
brutal.
the call never came. So yeah, that was as close
Well,
as.
it'll come. Eventually, you'll be a member, and we'll get.
Yeah,
You know,
that's my. Have you guys all been there?
we've
I've
been.
never
Been to
been.
a practice
Some
round.
of you have? Yeah.
They got to go last year with cousin Cam,
Cousin.
My cousin is
Cameron Young.
Cameron Young.
Oh,
He's
nice.
and that's why when we talk in a minute about that
Choked last week.
Valspar, he did. But
Sorry.
but also, you know, it's within the rules. Malnati got a unbelievable drop,
Big old drop.
which I thought was
Big
bullshit when I was
So
watching it.
corrupt.
And then I looked it up on the. It's actually valid.
I know.
But gosh, he's so close. So Cub and I are going to go in April and watch him. And we went a couple of years ago. I do remember, you know, Harris has not been playing golf for that long. He's the most improved golfer in the world. But
I've been the most improved golfer for 4 years.
for 4 years.
It just keeps getting better.
Yeah, well, it keeps getting is a way to say it. But
Not
I remember
better.
he was kind of asking me what to expect. You've been before,
Yes.
and you know when you walk, you finally walk on, and you're right in front of 10 next to the clubhouse, and you can see the whole course. And I was trying to explain this to Harris, and he was like, "Okay, what's so great? You know, not what's so great about it, but like, okay, I get it." And I remember I looked over and. When we walked up, I think your eyes were going to pop out of your head because it's the most
1000%.
unbelievable scene when you first walk up.
Yes.
You know, the big leaderboard is there.
This
One
guy
goes
gets
down the
on
right.
there somehow.
It's just amazing.
Charm live.
It's like Kevin Costner, right, in Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Is this heaven? You know, like, no,
Yeah.
it's Augusta. Right?
Yeah.
Like this is as close to heaven as you're going to get. If you love golf, and I haven't certainly been all the great courses in the world. I haven't been there, but Augusta, and I've got friends, Lance
Bass.
Barrow. No, Lance Barrow.
Is he a member?
You know what? I've even got a Lance Bass story I can tell you. That's another story. But Lance Barrow was forever the executive producer for CBS Golf. He's the guy in what's Costner's movie there? Tin Cup.
Tin Cup.
Yeah.
Right? So there's two guys in the truck that kept going,
Yeah.
What's he doing? What's he like, right? And there's one Cherkanian who's the producer, and then Lance Barrow's the guy next to him when they're adding up his score. Okay, he's in 3, back and 4, hitting 5. That's Lance Barrow in that movie. And I've known him forever and ever. And he lives here and he is a member at Colonial.
I didn't know that.
Lives in Fort Worth. Yeah, he's a member at Colonial. And he was telling me, he said, I've been involved with Colonial for 42 years or whatever at this point. He goes, and ever since I've been with CBS Golf, there's been a $500 bounty, if you want to put it that way, on anybody on the crew. And CBS probably has 200 people there, right, doing everything from running cables to doing everything. $500, if anybody can find a weed on the golf course. And they don't mean just on the fairways or the rough.
Any place.
They mean any place inside where there's straw, there's anything outside the club, walking out of the men's room and nothing. And in 42 years, he goes, nobody's ever been able to claim $500 for finding a weed on the golf course. That's how pristine the place is. If you've been there, you'll notice that when there's a bunker, they take electric like shears.
Yeah, like hair trim.
Almost like
hair
hair
trim.
trim. Almost like you'd use on your 5 o'clock shadow here, right?
Yeah.
What do you use? A 3 or 4? They have that going around the edge of the mid round because I asked him, I said, why? Well, because that grass might have grown a fraction of a centimeter, and we want to make it fair for the next guys that come. So they're trimming with something seriously the size of a hair trimmer around the bunker. That's how precise.
You were talking about the bathrooms there, and it was so funny because there's no, you can't bring a phone in. There's no, it's really,
It's so awkward.
And Harris had to go to the bathroom, and he goes, and I said,
You're not allowed to go to the bathroom there.
yeah. He comes back. He goes, dude, it was so weird. I had to sit on the toilet with no phone, and there's these guys like directing traffic.
There was like a he looked like a bouncer like at a bar. And he was like next like a stall, you
Move
know, like
along.
a horse stall.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, thanks. And I walk in, I sit down, I go, what am I supposed to do right now?
You just sit here and just
Just sit here. And there's a
Just
guy
sit for
just
20
standing
minutes,
there
there's nothing to
directing
do.
traffic, and I'm like,
Can you leave me alone?
Yeah, can I get some space?
I know.
Like, leave.
I know, really. Like, I can't go now. I'm all
I can't scroll on
cramped.
Instagram. I'm like, what am I supposed
I'm all
to
cramped
Supposed
up.
to poop and go.
Yeah.
It's not a hangout. You're not
I don't
hanging
just
out.
poop and go. But you can't. It's a sacred time.
Not with the big bouncer outside.
No.
Kind of going, hey, could you
I got
walk away
stage
for a
fright.
second? Stall
You've got
fives
the,
open.
you've got the poop shies or whatever
I
they
want
call
to check
it.
the score. What's going on outside?
Could somebody
Couldn't
run
do
some
it.
water outside in the sink or something for me? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
So
prestige. Have you been there?
No, would love to go. Always
Oh.
enter the lottery, but never been fortunate.
Does
say
anybody
this.
actually win the lottery when they enter? Or how does that
I know a guy
I've
who won
never
the
met
lottery.
him.
You got to wonder, right?
Maybe I'll buy Cubs ticket this year.
Well, I
you want
was
to
gonna
sell his
say,
ticket?
Not for sale.
These guys won the sperm
What?
lottery. They got a
Player
cousin.
tickets.
Wait, how much are you offering?
I'm saying I'll buy his ticket. Oh, you'd sell your ticket before he would sell. Yeah.
You know what's funny about that is my father told me when in the early '80s, if you want to go to the Masters, you just sort of produce yourself at Augusta and buy a ticket. And
Yeah.
I said, how did you? Because he went like 4 years in a row, 5 years in a row, and from '81 to '85. I go, how'd you get there? He goes, I just went there and bought
Yeah.
a ticket and walked in. I said,
Not anymore.
"What?"
Yeah.
And then the internet came around and it blew up.
I used to work with a guy that never golfed, and he would apply for the lottery, and he won one year. And I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, he had an inside fix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys never play there. And by the way, the Augusta, in a few different facts about it, people don't really know, is first the prices for a beer, a pimento cheese sandwich, and all that is like 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're paying $1.75 for a sandwich. If you want a beer, it's a $2.25. When they could literally, and I've been to most every major, and they could charge $37 for a beer.
Well, is that
and
what
everybody
people
would
pay it?
still
Is that
do
what it is at the other three? Is it price gouging?
Price gouging for sure. You go to
they
US
could
Open.
charge $30
Yeah.
for a beer, and people would still.
Yes.
The
Yes,
prices
they
at
would totally
Southern,
would.
the PGA Championship at Southern Hills, they were $30 beers.
No,
and it was a
get out of
whole
here.
thing.
It's like
online.
Jerry
I mean,
World.
they were angry.
So as much as the Masters is very restrictive, people thinking, oh, the rules. They are very much also into, we're not here. We got all the money we need, boys.
Yeah, we don't need any more.
We
Yeah.
don't need you to.
Yeah.
So if you want to go in the pro shop and buy a golf shirt, it's like $70
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a golf shirt. They're not as nice as Hammerback.
Yeah.
But
No
but if
Hammerback.
But if you go buy a golf shirt, it's 70. They're not gouging you. You go to US Open, it's $225 for a crappy shirt or whatever. It's $30 for a beer. They're every chance they get to make money, but not at Augusta. The other thing about Augusta is you'll notice if you go there, you won't see a lot of traffic, whether it's golf carts or the big kind of carts that haul beer cases and different things to their station. You don't, and you kind of.
It's actually a really good point.
When
I
somebody
didn't think
says
about
that, you're
that.
kind of going, well, no, you say that. I'm kind of going, yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
don't really see. It's because they went to Disneyland like 20 years ago and saw what Disneyland does and Disney World does.
Is that underground?
With their tunneling?
Yeah,
Oh,
And they
underground.
built-
Really?
They built tunnels all under Augusta.
Are you serious?
So all
I didn't know that.
all that stuff is brought up to the
Wow.
to this restaurants or the stands there for beers
Yeah.
and hot dogs and whatever else and concessions all underground and bring it up so that you don't see, because that to them is like crass.
Disruptive.
They're like, man, we don't want
That's
to
a
see
good
you with-
point, because
You know,
now
we
that I
don't
think about
have-
it,
we
I've
don't have a
never-
beverage cart at Royal Oaks either, and kind of wish we did.
Well, it's tunnel
You're going
system.
to
You know what? Yeah, I was going to say we don't have a tunnel system either.
we don't have a
The
tunnel
funny
system.
thing is, a full tunnel system for one week in a year.
Yeah, but that one
Right,
weekend
right.
makes
They don't care.
200
Yeah, but it-
million.
but it
money.
gets
Who knows?
It's just like what they've done at Augusta, right? Siding to 12, behind 12 and 13 tee box is Augusta Country Club. Not
Yeah.
Augusta National, but Augusta Country Club.
Great club.
Another golf course, right?
Yeah.
They buy property for them kind of continually. I think it's a business plan. That
yeah.
somebody's like, okay, we're going to get a country club right next to theirs.
Yeah.
We don't care how many people come or anything else, because they're going to slowly eat into our property.
Genius.
And they will spend for an
Yep.
extended tee box $5 million.
Yeah.
To
On number 12.
to
They
just
did
go
on
back-
12.
to
No,
just-
it
to
was
just go back here.
13.
13.
After
The
Bubba
par
cut the corner.
5. Yeah.
After
they
Bubba said, yeah, this is
Yeah.
nothing to me.
They said
Yeah.
we're tired of people having pitching wedges in, and
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it was $10 million to extend the tee box.
Money is no object to those people.
So to your point about pricing, my buddy who played there recently was telling us, they stayed in Butler Cabin, they played the course, they ate dinner and
Wow,
everything.
that's
and
the
you
whole
wear
deal. Yeah.
He said, when you go to dinner, you wear a sport coat. And he said,
What's that?
Yeah, so nobody knows that post
Hammerback will be coming out with a sport coat here
Yeah, we've
soon.
got a premier line.
But what was interesting was he was talking about the wine pricing. So they don't mark it up for members. If they bought a certain bottle in 1977 for $70,
Right.
it's still $70.
That's crazy.
So they don't. And apparently, what they said is they have arguably the greatest
Best,
wine
yeah.
cellar selection
I can
maybe in the
only
world.
imagine. I can only
Well,
imagine.
that's a good thing because their membership is usually strapped for cash.
Yeah.
I think.
The thing is that most of the members at Augusta National, and I don't even know what the number. Let's say it's pretty restricted, but
300?
300, 250, something like
Probably.
that. A lot of them are Atlanta people, right? It's the closest. So there's a lot of Atlanta. None of us, nobody would know who they are. They're Atlanta attorneys and things. It's who you know, because the rumor is, or the word is, they never tell you much of anything. But people like Bill Gates have said, "What kind of check do you need me to write?" And as soon as you say that, they're going,
You're out.
"Okay,
Nope.
I don't want you now." And you're like, "But I'm Bill Gates." You kind of want to say that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, "You do realize I'm Bill Gates, right?" But as soon as you go that way and act like big time in them, and I'll give you $1 million, how much do you want? You're out. So the membership there, I don't think, and I could be wrong, is not crazy. Is it 200 grand, 150
It's not
grand?
much.
It's apparently
not
it's
crazy.
much cheaper than you think.
Yes,
But-
because you would think it'd be 5 million,
But I
right,
remember
just to get in.
Hicks was talking about this, and I read some excerpt. Tom, but he said literally, I had no idea. I got the mail one day, and there was just an invitation there, and
Yeah.
I hadn't talked to anybody about it, or nobody had said anything to me, and it just
so
sort
cool.
of it just kind of happened.
So cool.
Yeah,
check my
if you're in the
mail.
right circles,
Yeah.
they invite you,
Yeah.
and then you go, and you're
Also,
like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll be a member."
The last thing I'll say, we could talk about the Masters for 4 hours, but I remember the first time going to Augusta thinking, wow, it's Augusta National. Augusta's kind of a dumpy little town. I mean, it's
It
a little
is.
industrial town.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
And there's not a whole lot of,
No.
and then there's
a highway that kind of goes.
And-
Yeah.
But
Right
but
through
the
it,
club
not
has slowly bought Washington Avenue as a street outside of Magnolia Lane, right? So you look at it as kind of a perpendicular. Washington Street is right outside of Augusta, the gates. And it used to be, when I first went years and years ago, it seriously was just fast food haven.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It was just a bunch of Whataburgers and Chili's and crap, if you will. I mean, just nothing much. And slowly but surely, the membership or the ownership of Augusta have bought those properties and done nothing with them. Like they're just vacant lots now or something, or they're
Yeah.
parking, right?
Parking-
They're using them for
parking
parking
lots,
and
a lot of
stuff.
them.
But they took it away because they're like, people were coming. Now there is, right outside one of the gates, there's a major Rolex store. Like that's right there.
I do remember that.
That's a big Rolex store that's right there. It's like a 2-story and I guarantee you, I don't know this for a fact, but I would bet that does a year's worth of business
In
a
4
week.
days,
right?
yeah.
In a week, they sell because some big swinging dick comes out of.
Oh, yeah.
Again, you're like, hey, buddy, like, have
they
a good time. Hey, let's
buy a
go get a Rolex.
they
All of us
stock
on
up.
me, man. I got one. What do you want? You want a Daytona? And we're like, and they buy these Rolex, and it's right outside the gates. Other than that, it's kind of not much.
Well, you know
of
what's funny
anything.
about that? The last time we went, was it last year? Down the street from the club is this big Hooters.
Oh, I was about to. Yeah.
And
Well, just like a Rolex store.
John
yeah, just
Daly's
like-
there.
Kind of same thing.
exactly, John Daly wasn't playing in the Masters, but the sign on the Hooters said John Daly will be here 9 to 6 every single day. Stop by, and they had a big barbecue pit and music going. There were 5,000 people
We
there
still
just
don't
coming
know
to
if that
see
was
JD.
true.
Oh, I'm sure he was there.
You think he was there?
No, he's there every year.
That's as close as he gets to playing there.
So,
Yeah, Daly was there.
so John
That's his
Daly,
sponsor.
John Daly and his son. So John Daly's son plays golf at Arkansas, and he's got a big NIL deal. with
JD
Hooters.
Jr.
Yeah,
Looks just like
big
him.
NIL deal
he
with
does.
Hooters.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
now I want to ask some. This is a lightning round. I'm going to ask you some questions. First of all, I would say a local not a local. You're a regional celebrity. So how many times
It could be national.
Could be not. Yeah,
are you
semi-national.
syndicated? I'm not sure.
the radio show.
You're stretching it. Yeah, you're stretching it. Okay, go ahead.
Radio
He's a global icon. Now listen, how many times a week do you have to deal with people coming up and saying, "Are you Timm Matthews?"
Only
Do you do that?
like a few times. I mean, when I was on TV more than I am now, and I still do some TV now. But when I was on TV on a regular basis, my kids were young. It was a bit of a cool factor, right? That people would come up to us. We'd go to Six Flags or whatever for like the weekend, and people would come up and go, "Oh," and they want to take a picture and stuff. And my kids would be at that time they would be 8 or 10 or 12 years old and be like, "Dad,
Who's that?
Why do I want a picture with you?
Why are you in blue?
Are you in trouble? Like, what happened? Like, is that the police? So not so much anymore. I mean, it's more. I think now if they, because I probably look different. I have white hair and what all that. But my name maybe means something to some people. And
But I would think more about, do you
something.
ever have people react to your voice? Like if you hear about radio personalities or
I don't
voice
know.
actors or something, and
Is
they
it
hear
distinctive?
your voice.
I don't know.
It's a great
Well,
voice.
if you only hear yourself through radio,
Radio voice.
I don't.
Great
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know that if people hear me or know the name and say. But the bottom line is not a lot. I mean, it's not a big deal. I don't get hassled by it. If I do, I've tried to always, in whatever little way that would happen to me, I would always try to be courteous and say hi to them, take a picture or something if they wanted, or if they wanted me to sign. I would.
you're like Arnold Palmer.
Well, I mean, it's so
Sign everything.
It's so much less than big time celebrities. But I always had a problem with, and I've known a lot of local athletes, right, that had big name recognition and everything else, probably mostly Cowboys, and I would see them sometimes be rude to people, and I'd be like, wow. I remember I was at dinner one time. My wife and I were at dinner because we were friends with a Cowboy player in the middle of his prime. And it's probably late 90s or 2000s. And somebody came up to him and asked him for an autograph. And it was just him, right, a little kid. And he was really rude to him. And I thought, man, I mean, I like you and you're fair.
Well,
I play golf, but why would you be that way?
Guy, whoever
So
it was,
bothered me.
I
wouldn't do that.
When I got out of college, I went to work for a notable Cowboys running back who happens to be the rushing leader.
All-time
in the NFL.
leading rusher?
He wore the number 22.
Who could it be?
Anyway,
Who could it be?
And I remember thinking he couldn't have been nicer, but the man can't even have a sandwich without 15 people coming
Yes.
up, and it must be really, really exhausting.
Right.
Over time.
And I do get that. Yeah, I do.
And if you're having everybody has bad days and you're grumpy or whatever, I could see that would be. I wouldn't wish fame on my worst enemy because it's forever. Your
It would
anonymity
be. I
goes
mean, I
away
think,
forever.
and there have been surveys taken and questionnaires, especially in today's era, right? TikTok and YouTube and everything else that people want to be, and they ask like 12 to 24-year-olds, what I want to be rich and famous. That's the most important thing. I don't want to. It's not that I want to invent a cure for cancer, or maybe you'd like for it to be something.
I just want to be famous.
Really, I want to be rich and famous, right?
Yeah.
And so, to be rich and famous seems to be a Kardashian kind of goal for everybody. And yet, if you get there, to then turn around and go, oh, hey, seriously, dude, and be rude about it, I'm going, that's what you strive to be.
Yeah.
So I get that if there's 20 people and that might be a bit, like I'll get you later or something like that. But when there's only a couple of people standing there and maybe I'm having dinner, I'm going to just sign it and say go on.
So, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
so
if you're with your kids, there are boundaries, right? Where you, but
Yes.
I want to be rich and anonymous. I
Well,
want
I'm
nobody to
certainly
know
not
who I
getting
am.
famous
Bill
the way
Murray-
she got famous.
Well, Bill Murray
Skip
always
that.
had the funniest line. He said, "If you want to be rich and famous, why don't you try being rich and see if that solves your problems first?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But Tim, as somebody who's, I mean, you've been in sports media for decades, and actually, just kind of the inverse of what Barrett said. Who are the nicest athletes, famous athletes you've ever met? Who are some of the most like gracious guys you know?
Barrett Jones. He's just such a good guy.
A
good question.
I think I could start from and I'll answer the opposite part of that at some point too, because there's some.
Well, I didn't
people
know
that
if you
are
wanted to answer the opposite
No, I don't
part.
have
Okay,
a problem.
okay.
I don't have any problem with doing it. Troy Aikman is very, very nice and has always been a genuine kind of person. I think so. He's my first guy that I would say. Mike Modano is usually very genuine and nice. Hockey players, I'll generalize this into sports. The worst are baseball players, right? The nicest are hockey players. And then football and basketball are kind of in between there. Ro Blackman from back in the day, very nice guy, always was nice. Even in his day, right, when he was in the middle of playing for the Mavericks and doing all that, was very, very nice. Dirk Nowitzki, always really, really nice and genuine about that. So there's some guy, and I always kind of think to myself, the reason is I would look back and say, what was their upbringing?
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a, it sounds kind of trite and all that.
No, but it's true.
But I mean, literally, did they have both parents in the house, right? Or were they a single mom kind of upbringing, which we all know in a lot of athletes' situation, it's a single mom kind of thing that's they didn't know their dad or their dad wasn't around a lot and stuff. And that's unfortunate, but it also caters to some really asshole kind of attitudes for a lot of these guys. So that's part of it. And hockey players tend to be, because they're more Midwestern and Canadian guys, they have more of a parental upbringing than some of the other ones, other sports. So I think hockey players are generally regular guys, right? If you want to play, go play golf with guys like that.
It makes total sense.
And if you talk to some others that are, like Michael Irvin is a good guy, but he grew up in a very tough situation. He had 16 brothers and sisters, or he was one of 16 kids.
You're getting overlooked at some
Right.
point in that.
Yeah.
It's like at some point you're like, how did you even get to this point in your life, right? So a lot of it is that. Now, I'm going to say this because I'm very open about saying it, and now he's got his name out there all the time. Is Deion Sanders is the biggest a-hole you've ever been around.
Interesting.
Biggest a-hole you've ever been around. He is so egotistical, so all about himself. And it doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take me being around him back when he was with the Cowboys to know when you watch him, and even now he's coming into the last couple of days, he's saying he's going to dictate the NFL draft for his son, the quarterback, and Hunter. I can't remember his first name.
Travis Hunter. Yeah.
Travis, the wide receiver quarterback.
I've just never.
He's going to dictate where they go to play. Like you don't say, like you go in the draft, you get drafted. You go to Cleveland, Denver, wherever you go.
Does this
He's
kind of
saying,
remind you a little bit? First of all, NFL scouts are not stupid, right?
Yeah.
These kids can play, but my God, who cares who their dad is, right? But do you remember LeVar Ball?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you remember how that kind of negatively?
Right.
Did you ever meet
affected
any of
those
the
kids?
ball
I never.
guys?
I met the sons, but I've never met the dad.
Yeah.
But do you think that
LeVar, I think LeVar.
Yeah,
there
LeVar
seemed
Ball.
to be this sort of atmosphere around some of these kids through no fault of their own that we don't really want to deal with these kids because we don't want to deal with the dad.
Yeah.
And all this baggage that comes along with that.
Caleb Williams is dealing with that right now.
Caleb Williams, the same thing. That's got to
USC
be really,
quarterback.
really tough for a kid.
Yes.
Who can play. These kids can play. His
Right.
son is a great quarterback.
Oh yeah, Shadur's very good.
They're
Right.
great.
Yeah.
Right. But his dad, being Dion, is going to act like, hey, if you want to drop my son, he literally said it's a climate thing.
Yeah. He said no cold weather.
No cold weather.
Yeah.
Although, interestingly, he included that might be okay, Baltimore. I go, have you been to Baltimore, Dion? Yeah. It's like, today, here it's 70 in Dallas, it's like 30 in Baltimore. I mean, just so you know.
Also, going to Baltimore,
Dumbass.
it's like, do you want to get shot?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, come on.
No,
Baltimore's
you don't
nice a
wanna be in
couple days a
Baltimore.
year.
Nobody wants to be in Baltimore.
Yeah. Baltimore hits 75 degrees 4 times a year.
Yeah, it's
Like
fabulous.
4 times a
Those
year.
4 days. Everybody gets out of
But
town.
that's his ego. Dion's ego is so immense.
I've just never seen that side of him.
Oh my God! I've never been around a guy who thinks more about himself. Back when he was playing, and he was no
good.
doubt a Hall
He
of
was
Fame,
good, yeah, back in his
unbelievable
day.
talent. But because of that, and maybe this is a societal kind of thing, because of that, the feedback all he got was Dion can't do anything wrong. Dion's the greatest. Dion, from high school to Florida State to Atlanta to the Cowboys, 49ers, he couldn't. And so even now, he looks at it and
It's an echo chamber.
If you noticed, right? What did they start? 3-0.
Yeah.
What did they finish? 4-8.
Yeah.
They finished 1-8.
Man,
right. Once they got into the real season,
3-0 start
We were
was
at
loud.
TCU,
we should talk about that.
We were
right?
at so Barrett and I were at game 1. We were sitting there, right?
Who they play?
TCU. We were,
Okay, yeah, that's
we
right,
went to
that's
TCU.
right, yeah.
We were both sitting right, actually not too far from Dion when he came out of the tunnel. We were both sitting there like
With his
there
shades
he is.
on.
Shades on, big chain. I think
Right,
he had,
right, like,
he had
here we
a
go.
boot on,
There we go.
Production.
The defending
He's got a shtick.
almost
He's got a
champions.
shtick.
and they put it to us.
Defending
that was
runner-ups, Cub.
That was the
Runner-ups.
loudest 3-0 start in college football.
It's like everybody in the
Lot of
country
hype.
is going, oh, Dion, and Stephen A. and
Yeah.
everybody, oh, Stephen, oh, I'm telling you, the Dion. And then slowly they're kind of going, all right, Dion, yeah, okay, the Colorado, well, let's move on now. Let's talk about, and you're going, oh, no, let's talk about Dion. What happened? Because he's lost 4 in a row now. Well, you want to talk about that? But they kind of just slowly, because everybody so was into, look at Dion going from nowhere, Jackson State, and before that, nowhere, Prime Prep.
Yeah, Prime Prep.
Right? and then his own school.
Well, bankrupt
First of all-
Prime Prep.
First of all,
yeah.
I went to do an interview with Dion at his house, and he lived at that time in Plano.
Was this the Prime Prep era?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And no. It was his playing days before he was still playing, but he lived at right next to Glen Eagles, which was
that gated.
yeah the gated community, whatever it was
Yeah,
called,
North
right
Dallas,
there.
yeah.
Well, Plano kind of, yeah, Plano,
Yeah.
but right. I mean, it's attached to. I mean, sorry, his backyard looked at Glen Eagles, right? So went up and you drive. You go through the gate, then you go up to his house, which has a gate, and the gate says says Prime. Prime.
He has a gate
Hey,
within the gate.
Yeah, gate within the gate. It says Prime, and you're like, "Hey, Dion, could this be your house? I don't know." Damn it, you're trying to be quiet. You're trying to be a celebrity that nobody knows about. He's all about look at me, look
Yeah.
at me.
You know
look
what?
at me.
He's gonna hate.
Always has
if
been.
if he listens to this.
Well,
he's not gonna
Dion,
listen.
longtime
It's
listener.
It's a very
Yeah.
He's for sure
big time
gonna
fan.
listen.
No way.
But it's a very Trump-esque kind of aura. You know,
Yeah.
just
That's a
look at
very
the-
good way to put it.
Yes.
Like Trump
Can't not want attention.
Trump won his own club championship at his own club
Speaking of golf.
and presented himself with the trophy, which was his own crest,
That was last weekend.
and then tweeted about it.
His tweet was so good.
It was just hilarious.
And the winner
I
is
didn't
Donald
see his
Trump.
tweet.
Donald, me. Thank you very much, Donald. He goes from one hand to the other.
It's just
Thank
it
you,
was a
Donald. Here's your
tremendous
trophy.
tournament.
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm so honored to receive this trophy at Trump National Corral, and my gosh, what an honor it is." It was like,
Yeah.
you can't make
Thank you
this
for
up,
inviting me,
you know?
Donald. Oh, thank you, Don.
Now-
And Dion talked about himself in the first person,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He was always Dion.
That's
Yeah.
always your first
no,
sign.
he's always
Yeah.
Coach
It's always
Prime.
your first
Yeah.
sign.
So if Dion wants to defend and get an intercept, Dion will do it. You'd be holding the microphone, right?
And now it's Coach Prime. Coach Prime will do it.
And I don't mean this isn't a bad term, but gangbang is a term in media. Like when you would all be around the media, the
It's
person.
not a media term.
Yeah, let's just say it was. You'd gangbang him, right? So I mean, you'd all be around the guy to talk to him, right? Whoever it was.
Like after, like locker room or
Yeah,
Yes,
like
that's
30
right.
microphones
Yes.
in their face. Yeah.
Yes, you had all these microphones around one person. I don't know where the term came from. I'm not really sure where.
Dirty Mike.
I don't know
boy.
I don't know the origin of gangbang, but somehow that's what we all use. When and it was funny coming from women sometimes, like women reporters going, "Hey, are we going to get Dion in the gangbang tonight?" And we're like, "I guess we are. I don't know."
yeah.
It seems a little odd
Which
coming
one?
from you, but okay, we're going to do a gangbang with Dion.
gosh.
And so you'd hold your mic up, and Dion would seriously be like, "Well, you know, Dion's trying to hold the Eagles, you know, to no touchdowns. I mean, Dion's trying," and we'd all be looking at each other going, Is he really saying Dion? Like we all you couldn't
Yeah, all
believe
third
a
person,
guy
yeah.
could say his name that many times, and he also gave himself the nickname, which is such a faux
did?
pas. You
He
don't-
gave himself Prime Time?
Oh, Prime is his own nickname.
I didn't know.
Nobody gave him Prime. Prime was what he created. If you remember, he did rap songs too, right?
No.
Oh yeah, he was a musician too.
Oh,
you don't
gosh.
remember that? Oh, Dion.
It's like naming yourself
back at like Hammer.
Majesty or
This was
whatever.
Hammer time. Do you guys remember?
Oh,
MC?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
MC
yeah.
Hammer.
Excellent.
Dion did videos. You got to Google it.
With the pants?
Oh, and the pants and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Dion would be like,
this
no.
is the rabbit hole, right?
Dion
Do you know
was like
who must have
rapping
picked
Dion.
this up? I was at. Do you remember at Circuit City? Back when Circuit City was a
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Wait, what
There
what
was
is
that
that?
was pre
Circuit
Best
City.
Buy.
Yeah, there was a Circuit City at 75 and Meadow, I think. And I was in there one time, and Rocket Ishmael was in there.
Oh, Rocket.
And he must have picked it up because he was talking in third person too. He said, "Rocket will take that 75 inch. Rocket will take that one. Rocket will take that one."
It's contagious.
I didn't know he got it from
Now-
from
Right.
Now, I am
Rocket
curious,
watches.
being a golf podcast, and obviously Dion lives at Glen Eagles Country Club and backing up.
Yeah.
Did he ever golf? Do you ever know?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't
He's
think
never
so.
a golfer.
No, it was just
Well, eventually
prime
he
real
moved
estate.
out to that ranch. He had like a ranch in.
Well, then he went up
Salina
to
or whatever, right?
well, he went to Prosper.
Prosper.
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
Prosper,
so if
that's
you're
exactly
if you know Gentle Creek,
Yeah.
which I was a member of as well, Gentle
course.
Creek actually, and you'd go way up at the end of the tollway till it dead ended at like 380, I think, or something like that, which is now where the PGA headquarters is, and then you'd kind of cut over to Preston Road and then shoot up Preston Road to Gentle Creek Club Road or something like that. If you turned right there, you would tell people as a member, you would tell people, okay, go there and do this and do it, and then you'd come to and it wasn't even a stop sign, but you're going to see this enormous house in the distance. Turn right there. That was Dion's house. You would say turn. He had like an 18,000 square foot house right there at the corner but way set back that you could see. It had a basketball court. It had a football field in the backyard, or half of a football
Fishing pond.
with goalposts and stuff like that.
He had a primetime show. It was like a reality show.
Yes,
That's right. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. That's
He
how
cannot-
I know about the Prosper House.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. I mean, for me to say this about him at Colorado is not like, oh, I'm throwing him under the bus. He has always wanted limelight since he was at Florida State. He's
he got
always
it.
wanted.
I mean, he's got
the
it.
attention,
He's there.
and he was. I'm not denying he was unbelievably. He would go down as probably one of the top cornerbacks to ever play the NFL.
Yeah.
Unbelievably good.
Also,
Now,
But
MT
he
brings
just-
up a good point. Athletes in other sports transitioning to golf. You've played with athletes from a number of sports.
Yeah.
What sport? I would think hockey translates the most.
Yes, it does.
To golf.
It does.
Is
It
that
does.
your experience?
Yeah.
Now, what sport doesn't translate?
Football.
Football.
Yeah,
Has
football.
to be.
Yeah,
right?
football.
Because they're just not mobile.
No,
Right?
and they're also too.
They're just bulky.
They're too strong.
Yeah.
Like I have played with a number of NFL guys, and they don't have the turn. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard for them to turn. They turn to about here, which is Lee Trevino turn.
They need
right?
to
I mean,
get that the Scotty workout
Well, yeah,
instead.
yeah.
Instead of lifting, what we talked about this last week, where some of these guys are bulking up, they're trying to get muscle, whereas
Muscle
a lot of those.
activation.
Well, that's that. Yeah, that's that MAT stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of those football guys are so good at vertical, like
Well, dude, if you
squats,
have a-
presses.
if you have
but
a-
golf is. You
Core.
want
It's just
rotational
core.
power.
It's your core.
Core.
50
And hockey guys are all rotational.
Yes,
They're
yes.
slap shots.
They're slap shot
if
is-
you have a
Exactly.
58-inch chest, you can't
Yeah.
swing a
No.
you can't
No.
swing a golf
It's like
club.
it's like asking Dwayne, The Rock, to go hit a ball. It's just
Yeah.
not going to happen.
No,
Has
it's not-
anybody surprised you when you've played with him that you've gone,
that's
I didn't
interesting.
think.
Yeah.
And you go, actually, he's pretty good. I have a surprise that surprised me.
So for about,
In case you wanna know.
for 5 or 6 years, is that like in golf or just a surprise in general? Are you
Cub-
going to grab my leg?
Cub and I, we'll turn the camera off.
I got a surprise for you.
I just love Baird asking a question, but he's already got the answer for it. It's like,
Yeah.
here,
Well,
what's
in
your-
case you never know if Tim might go, I don't know, and then I get launch in. Cub and I played 18 holes with a Heisman Trophy winner and a Oakland Raiders NFL Hall of Famer,
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown had
Okay.
no idea who he was.
Yeah.
Fabulous golf swing.
Yes.
Unbelievably,
he was awesome.
I mean,
Yes.
really, really good. We didn't know who he was. Till
Also, he went
finished
to
up.
high school right next where
Woodrow.
we live.
Woodrow?
Yeah, but
he
a
did
very
mention
humble
Dude,
guy.
I just saw him last week, actually.
He's a wonderful guy.
Very
Oh,
nice
he's
guy.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
Tim has a beautiful golf swing.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
figured it out.
But he's also a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
he
he's a
wasn't-
different body
wasn't a
style
line.
than
Yeah.
some of these guys. The golfers. Now, I will tell you that Tony Casillas, you don't remember him, but Tony Casillas played for the Cowboys back in the Jimmy Johnson era, was a defensive lineman. Had a good swing.
Really?
And for a guy that was 285, 290, he had a really nice swing. Now, a lot of those guys, when they stopped playing, like including Aikman, they're smart enough to know in the last, I'm saying 25 years, that I'm artificially big.
Yeah.
Right? I shouldn't be 285. I'm 6'3" or 6'4". I should be 225, right? Or
Yeah.
230 or 40. I shouldn't be 290. And they kind of learned how to trim down. And so Tony Casillas did that. Aikman's done that. Aikman is much smaller,
He's ripped though.
even though
He's still a big dude.
he's in great
Grief.
shape. But he's not, because you have to be big.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're taking hits from those guys, I got to be 240. But I know that I shouldn't be 240 and when I'm done playing. So he gets down to 220, 225 kind of size to be able to do that. So Tony Casillas actually, for a big guy, had a pretty nice golf
But do
swing.
you find that it seems like golf as a hobby touches a lot of other sports? You see Steph Curry
I
getting
was
into
just
golf.
about to say,
Yeah.
he is so annoying
A
how
lot
good
of
he is at
athletes get into golf. Is that
Yeah.
is that a new trend, or have you seen that?
No, I think it is new. Yeah,
It's new.
I think it's fairly new, and a lot of it is the celebrity events that they can get into,
Yeah.
like Tahoe, right?
Yeah,
They play
the
at
Tahoe
Tahoe.
one, yeah.
one.
And again, I don't mean to name drop or act like that's a big deal, but for 5 or 6 years, I caddied for Emmitt. Emmitt and I did a radio show together when he first started with the Cowboys. So we got to be pretty good friends for the beginning of his career.
He's a pretty good player.
And yeah, he's not a bad player. And so he said, hey, one year in his third year or something in the league, he goes, I'm going to go to Tahoe and play in the celebrity thing. Would you want to caddy for me? And I go, what's that mean? Because I want to know. And he goes, well, I'll pay for everything. I'll pay to fly you up there. Because I'm like, I'm not going to just show up in Tahoe and go, hey, Emmitt, I'm down $5,000 already.
Yeah.
So he's like, no, I'll pay for you to fly, do everything. And then so we did that for like 5 years. And first thing is that Emmitt's bag was way too freaking heavy. I'm like, Emmitt, what do you? And one time we were playing, and I get there that morning, and Emmitt's. I got so many stories I could tell.
I'm just picturing
So
Happy
what was in
Gilmore
it?
caddy.
So what could have been in
Happy
it?
Gilmore caddy.
So we get there one morning. This is probably the second or third year I'm caddying for him, and it's a top. It's a beautiful golf course, right? Edgewood is where they play, and and he's out all night the night before, and I was out there with him for a little bit the night before, but then I go to bed, and he stays out there, and this is a bit of a sidebar. When you go and there's Caesars and different casinos are right there, right for the guys that play.
Well, you're in Nevada. I mean, you're on
You're right on the
side.
border, and so you get to play. And so the guys are there, and it's Barkley and Emmitt and
MJ?
No. What's his name? Play for the Colts, running back.
Thomas?
No, back in the day.
Way back.
Edgerrin James.
James.
Yeah. Edgerrin James.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
they're all getting there. Up there was Michael Jordan. Like they're all here because they're only this level, which is superstar. And then up there is Jordan's level. Jordan's playing all by himself in blackjack, right? 20 yards from where we are. And I go, why is he up there? Like, well, because he plays at a different level than we all do. And so
200 grand a hand.
Jordan's playing. So I'm standing like this, watching, and I'm standing behind Emmitt and Barkley and Edgerrin James, and they're betting 5,000 a hand, and sometimes Barkley's betting 25,000 a hand, and he's betting 3 at a time. Right?
Good
Can
grief.
you do the math?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 75 grand. And sometimes I'm not good at math.
Yep.
He would lose 3 straight. And you know, blackjack goes pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One a card, 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 one a card. You're going back and forth. He would lose 3 fast. It would be 2 minutes later, 75 grand. He'd go, marker. Now, Barkley's got a stack of markers here, 100,000 each one. And they're like a foot high of $100,000 markers for Barkley. And I'm feeling nervous. I don't have a dollar involved in any of this, but it's like that's what he's doing. I don't know what Jordan's doing up there because there's ropes, right? Celebrity ropes that you can't. These guys, the biggest stars in the world, can't even get up to Jordan's level, right? To bet with him. But this is what these guys are doing, and they're betting all this money. Barkley would lose 75, lose 75, lose 75. Then he'd win a few and lose a few. Emmitt's betting 5 or 10,000. And he's splitting it. He's doing 3 hands at a time.
Yep.
So he's betting 30 or 15,000 at a time, depending on if he feels like it's not working for me. It's just 5,000 for each hand to do that. They're betting all this. The next day, so I have no idea what he wins or loses because I go to bed. The next day, he comes down and we're all like gathered around the caddies and all the players are getting ready to warm up and all that stuff and putting and all that. And Emmitt puts his bag down. And I go to pick it up, and it's like, I'm just estimating, but probably 1,500 pounds. I'm like, I can't even lift it off
You're
the
like
ground.
that kid in Caddyshack.
What the hell is in this bag? I unzip it, and I pull out of one of the pockets $10,000 chips. And I don't think he has any idea how many are in there because it's like overflowing with $10,000 chips. They fall on the ground. I'm like, and he's not around. And there's a part of me like, the good devil, bad devil.
yeah.
I'm kind of going like this, going,
Should I take one?
Just one.
He's not going to notice.
Just
2 or
one.
3.
He'd have no idea if I just one of those. He would have no clue. I'm sure he has no idea how much is in there. But I'm being a good guy, so I put them on. I go, Emmitt, what do you want to do with these chips? He goes, just keep them in there. I don't know, but just. And the whole time I'm thinking, there's $100,000 worth of chips in there,
More
or
than that.
$150,000 worth of chips in there that he has no idea what's going on.
And you got to carry it around all day.
We tear it out. We get to the turn. Sorry to make this long. We get to the turn. At the 9th hole, I unzip it again, and I'm kind of moving some things around. I'm getting him some water so he can
Putting
drink.
some in your pocket.
Yeah.
And I look in this one zip pocket that I hadn't unzipped, and there's a tin in there, like a tin. And I open it, and I go, what's this? And he goes, oh, man, I forgot that was in there. I open it's cookies, like Christmas cookies in a tin that somebody gave him that had to be 20 pounds. And I'm hauling around going, what's this? And he goes, Oh, I don't know. Just throw that shit out. I don't know what that is. I'm like, why am I hauling? What else? And I'm opening all these pockets to see what I can throw out and dispense of because the bag was 150 pounds for me to haul around. And I threw all this stuff out, but I kept the chips in there. And he goes, you get all my chips? And I go, yeah, I got your chips. I mean, they're all. And we finished playing. He's a good golfer.
He's a good golfer.
But he's not a great golfer.
Well, you know what's funny about that?
He hits it a mile.
I
but he's
want
not
to
sure
know,
where it goes.
how did he won all this money at the table and then put it in his golf bag?
Yes.
How
I don't
did
know.
the
I don't know
fuck
why
he
that
get it
was.
there?
That means
I
you
felt-
didn't go to sleep.
He went. He
Yeah.
stayed up.
Yeah,
Went
he
straight
did.
to the
Yeah.
course.
Otherwise, you go to the cashier.
You stay.
Yeah.
You were there till 6
Color
a.m.
out.
Well,
You
he
went to
also
the
knew he was
breakfast
gonna keep
buffet
playing.
and then straight to the course.
Plus, he was going to keep playing. He wasn't done,
There
so
was
he
a
was going to
guy.
cash out.
There's a guy at Royal Oaks who has an MJ gambling story, and he said our friend Chris Martin, who's a great guy, played college tennis, and one of the guys he played with on the team went on to be a tennis coach, and he worked with Serena for a little bit, and he was in wherever for some tournament, U.S. Open or Wimbledon, whatever it was, and he was around a week before, and he was with Serena helping him out, and he got invited to a poker game that night from a couple other tennis guys. And he shows up and they're like, oh, he's like, let's get started. And they're like, hang on, we got one other guy coming in. He says the door opens and two security guys walk in and it's MJ with a big cigar in his mouth and a pillowcase over his shoulder like Santa Claus. And he walks up and he dumps the pillowcase on the table and it's like $750,000 in cash. Like from the bank, right? Like just wrapped up. And he goes, let's get started. And, this guy makes $40,000 a year, and he's sitting there. He's like, holy God, what am I going to do? And he says, you play cards, and they play for 2 or 3 hours, and, not to throw MJ in the bus, but he's just 3 sheets.
Yeah.
And finally, someone was like, hey, Mike, we got to go or whatever. MJ's like, all right, I'm out. I'll see you. And he just leaves. And they've got this giant pile of cash of his money in front of him, and they're kind of like, what do we do? And one of the guys goes, oh, he does this all the time. Don't worry. Here, what's there? 750 here. How many are there? Five of us here. You take one, you take one, you take one. They just dole it out, and they all leave. And he goes, I walked out with $125,000 of Michael Jordan's money. He doesn't even know who I am. I'm just a blurry face at the other side of the table. And I go, well, do we have to tell him about this? He goes, oh, no, don't tell him about this.
Don't tell.
No, don't say a thing.
Don't tell the IRS. Don't tell anybody.
Don't mention anything.
Nobody knows about this.
We'll wrap it up. Tim, we're going to have you back. We're going to do about 25 hours with you. I could do it all in one, but we'll have to break it up. It's just so I could ask you questions all day. But now, before we wrap up, I do want to talk about this Valspar Championship because this is near and dear to my heart. It cost, well, in some ways it cost my cousin the win, this drop that Peter Monot got. He got a drop out of a abhorrent lie, which is within the rules, and then he gets a drop on the green and putt.
Right.
Cam kind of screwed up the 18th hole, but I will say, after watching it, Peter Monotti was so emotional afterwards that I kind of went, okay, this is for the best. If it had been,
Patrick Reed.
well, I was going to say if Scotty won again, I'd go, well, give Cam a chance. But that was a big drop and a big moment, and Cam was right there, and he's going to get it. He's going to get it done.
He'll get there.
But did you watch?
Yes, I did. And I was actually at the last time or the first time that Malnati won, which I was doing play-by-play for PGA Tour Radio
9 years ago.
I don't know, was it 2015?
2015,
9 years ago?
Yeah.
I guess it is. And it was at Sanderson Farms in Jackson, Mississippi. And Malnati won his first tournament there, which is a rain delay, had to go to Monday, which was weird because everybody had to then, people don't appreciate this, but if that happens and you go to Monday, everybody's got to make new plane arrangements.
Yeah.
Which, again,
that's a
you're not
mess.
Jordan Spieth and Scheffler with your private jet just sitting there. You got to make arrangements on Southwest or American or United
And the
to
whole
get to
crew.
Mexico the next week.
I mean, everybody producing
Everybody
the
in
show.
everybody in the crew, all the announcers, and we all had to figure out how we're going. And he won that tournament in Jackson, Mississippi, which, sidebar, had the biggest freaking crocodile I'd ever seen in my life. Was on the 14th hole at Jackson Country Club in Jackson, Mississippi. It was a 15-foot monster.
Wow.
That was on the bank. Every time I'd go down there to do a call, and I'd be like, okay, Malnati's got about a 15-foot putt. that crocodile is amazingly big over there, like because it was like right there. He never left. He just sat there on the bank.
Are you on the course, or are you in a?
Yes. No, on
Where
the course.
are you on,
on the course? Yeah,
you're on the course.
Yeah, walking with kind of gear. You got headphones.
You got the backpack and the headset.
Not backpack, but you got a fanny pack, right?
Yeah.
It kind of goes around your waist like this and all. And so you're making the call. Biggest freaking crocodiles right over here. And I think Mississippi, sidebar, has the biggest croc ever recorded in the U.S.
That might be it.
It might
Maybe
be
it
a
was on
15,
14.
16 foot.
I mean,
it was
that is a
unbelievable.
literal dinosaur.
Yes, it was scary because even though he was 50 yards away, it's close enough.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You're going, he's right there. Hey, Malnati's got a nice putt here for 15 feet. It's going to break a little bit right to left. The croc is right there.
When you're on the
Just to make
course,
sure you like look
when you're on the course and you got the mic and the headset, do you have to get used to
Yes,
the
yeah. So what you do is you take, I've got a microphone in front of me here, but you take a clipboard, which you have for your notes and everything, and you put the clipboard in front of you.
Really?
Oh, there's the secret.
And you're like, okay, and so now Malnati has a 15-foot putt. It's going to break a little bit right to left. And he just misses for the birdie. He'll tap in for his par. And then you take it away like that, and you're talking.
That's so good.
That's
awesome.
that's how you make sure that you don't overstate it. Because there have been times the Valero's coming up right this week.
Yeah.
And I was at the
Houston.
Oh, Houston's this
Valero's
week, and
next.
Valero's the next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
I was at Valero doing play-by-play, and I'm standing behind the green on a fourth hole or something like that. And the first day was blisteringly cold, kind of like today, right? North wind, and you know how that happens in Texas sometimes.
42 degrees.
Randomly cold.
When normally it's kind of like going to be 70, but somehow the wind's coming, and it feels like it's 40. And so the guys, Furyk, I remember had a toque on and everything. He's wearing, all these guys are wearing ear muffs and all that. I'm like, God, it's in San Antonio in March. Shouldn't be that cold. And Charlie Hoffman is playing. And I'm behind the green, getting ready to make the call. Okay, dude. And Charlie Hoffman has a wedge. It's about 100. And so I have some information, right? So I'm 145 yards. He's going to hit a wedge shot. But I'm right behind the green. I'm wearing kind of an optic yellow. Think of it as Oregon football, right? Kind of too bright of a yellow golf shirt that I'm wearing.
Don't even say it. I know he's going to give you a Baylor. green.
Baylor.
He's gonna
We
do
would
that
never-
Baylor
we would
neon.
never.
That
do
same that same kind of Oregon Baylor color.
Baylor neon.
Oregon.
Yeah, that Hammerback would never put on their shirt.
No.
And suddenly I'm standing there like just getting ready for the call, and Hoffman pulls back from his shot, and he yells through the crowd, through me, he goes, "Hey, bright green, get out of the way!" And I'm like,
He didn't say Timm Matthews.
"No,
he just said bright green.
I'm like bright green. I'm like, yeah, that must be me." So I'm like, "Okay." Oh no, he said neon green. He goes, "Hey, neon green, get out of the way," because I was right in line with his shot, which I thought was okay, except for apparently my green was too bright for him to hit his shot.
Highlighter yellow.
So he kind of hits his shot. Yeah. So anyway, that was at the San Antonio tournament. And so what was your question? I don't even remember.
Well, when you're on the course, I mean, you're live.
Yeah.
But you got to be sensitive to a lot of stuff. You got to
Yes.
capture the drama.
Yes.
Right. And
you
that's
do.
got to be kind of
So
hard.
you got to be in the right voice.
And there's a crocodile next to you.
because the people have to hear you, but then
Are there
multiple
multiple guys following different groups for radio, or are
one
you
in
guys
each group.
the radio?
One in each
Yeah.
group.
And there's only 3 or 4 of us, right? Total. So you're only with whoever's
You're following the leaders, right, for the radio.
Usually, or somebody's hot, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say in that tournament, Malnati was 5 back, but he's made 4 straight birdies. They get you in a cart and they send you over to Malnati to see if he's going to get 6 straight birdies or he's going to make a run. So you're usually with the leaders or the hot golfer. If Tiger was in the tournament, you're always with somebody's always with Tiger.
Always.
Or
Yeah.
Spieth. Spieth is a golden child.
Yeah.
Right? We all know Spieth is the guy that everybody has to hear from and know what's going on. It hurts me. It hurts all of us to know that Spieth just can't freaking put it all together like
Make
he should.
Spieth great again.
Yeah, you want to make Spieth great again.
Well, that drop, the drop at when we were
Sorry
talking
about
about
that.
it,
So the
it
drop,
got,
brutal.
it got us, but it was interesting. I went and started looking up some of the drop rules because I didn't know some of them, and I was the
I
cart
was
path one we
screaming at
talked
the-
about was an interesting one. When you look up some of the drop rules, you look one of the ones that pops up next, like on YouTube or whatever, is the cart path one. And I have never thought about this. But when my ball's on the cart path, I kind of just pick a side.
Where's the best
where-
spot?
Yeah,
right?
yes, yeah,
That's,
go where I can
you have
stand.
to go to whatever the closest side for where your ball is. I guess if you're in the dead middle, you can figure that out. But You know,
But if you're
and I
on the
didn't know
course
that.
and you got the heads, you have to know the rules, right? I mean, you
Yes.
got to be able to communicate this.
Yes.
So are you relying on rules officials to tell you what's going on?
Yeah, if
or you-
there's usually a rules official nearby. So if I had a question before he came on to me, I would go over to him and say, hey, so what's he get? What can you do here? Can you move it to the other side of the trees? You got to drop it here. And so I would get the information right from all those guys and figure it out. And by the way, in the Malnati case,
He even said it. That was the
it's a
funniest
club
part. He said it when they had the hot mic while he was standing there, and,
He goes, "This
and
is
the
a
rules
great
official
break."
was up. He goes, "Listen, this is an incredible break. Like
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah,
making sure
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
doing this right because this is."
yeah.
Glad
So
you
that
I
was
want to make sure you agree.
That was the last tournament he won. I guess was my point back at Sanderson Farms when Malnati won back then. Was the only other time he's won. He's won two tournaments now, and so that was kind of significant. It was really heartwarming to see him.
I thought it was sweet. It was
so,
awesome.
so emotional about that. That his wife is a PhD and she's writing a book and everything. So she's very successful in her own right. I'm gotta say this. This is my own personal thing. Because I even said to my wife, I go, you got to see this. So when he was winning, as we all see, and I think probably too much, because you don't see Steph Curry or Luka's wife or. Wives come into play in the PGA Tour way more than
All the time.
I kind of think they need to.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, it doesn't but they always got to run in the green, and the kids got to. Okay, well that's what it is, but it wears on me a little bit. But anyway, she comes out to say, okay, thank you, Malnati for winning. But she had on a shirt and cutoffs, right? Like she had cutoffs.
thought the same
She
thing.
looked- And all these golf wives, I'm just going to say,
the wags
normally
of golf.
are
Wags.
way overdressed.
I was about to say,
they're
you're-
sitting there in 100 degrees.
They got the big hat,
big
sundress
glasses
with the big hat,
They got a
and
lot
the
of
big glasses.
They got a lot of makeup on. They got a lot of jewelry
know.
on. And I'm like, good for her that she's out there going, hey, I'm out here for 6 hours, so I'm going to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But she is a PhD. She's writing a book on pressure in sports and golf, and good for her. And he broke down, right? Because he was like, she supports me through all. That's what's great about.
I thought it was great.
Sports, but it's great about golf is that he's like, she's been there for me through all this stuff, and I love her, and that to me was the best part
Well,
of the
and he
whole thing
hasn't-
about him beating your cousin.
Well, yeah, and Kelsey,
Sorry.
and Kelsey, I don't think was there. Maybe she was, but yeah, my cousin. That's the other thing. Is he going to win? You don't know. I mean,
No.
you just turn
Right.
up and sort of cross your fingers and hope it happens.
because anything could happen on the last hole.
But
he
it
doesn't
happens.
have big
I mean-
contracts, right? Malnati's not. I mean, he hasn't made the money that some of those
Well,
guys have
Maybe
made.
he gets
I
a
mean,
hammer back deal.
Well, and we
Yeah.
were talking about that before we came on tonight. Was Malnati was, and we looked it up. He was 185th on the FedEx Cup rankings.
Yeah.
So 215 guys get their cards, which means he was almost.
On the bubble.
He's on the bubble from losing his
Yeah.
card this year.
Yeah. And he jumped up to what?
So he jumped
70?
up to the 60s, but
60s? Yeah.
he's now got a 2-year exemption. So, for a guy like him,
And
obviously
he
you can
gets into all
understand why.
and he gets into all the signature events.
He gets into the Masters.
the big money
He
ones.
gets into all the majors.
Yeah.
And like we were talking, we were saying that earlier, the PGA Tour is the best life imaginable for about 30 guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
If you're
Yeah.
the top
For the
30.
rest of them,
For the rest of them,
it's an
grind.
ulcer.
for
It's an
the
ulcer
Peter
waiting to happen.
Malnatis, the guys that are 180, he's flying Southwest. He's renting cars.
Right.
He's staying
Right.
he's staying at La Quinta's.
Coordinating
it's
with your
not-
caddy. Where's your caddy going to stay?
yeah,
I don't
wearing
know.
a
it's
bucket
not-
hat and you're
renting a
playing
car.
a green
exa-
ball. You're
It's not
definitely-
like he's living the high and luxurious
No.
life, but
No.
that's why a win like that is just so.
And
emotional.
that's where Mickelson in the big picture, Mickelson and some of the other guys were saying, okay, here's what's going on in the NBA, the NFL, hockey, and all. They've got these guaranteed contracts, and they're all set, and they're all, by the way, flying. LeBron doesn't pay for his own airfare.
No.
But golfers do, right? LeBron's not paying for his hotel. Golfers do. So they're looking at the difference of what other athletes are doing at our level. And
Great question.
We
Why
have to keep doing
does
this.
the PGA Tour not chart? I know sometimes they charter when they go overseas or whatever. How come they don't have a charter from
because they're all
one
coming
tournament to
from
another?
because they're coming from a million different places.
Yeah.
Somebody
But
said they all
if it's
come
one
from the
week
last
to
tournament.
next, 1 week to the next.
Yeah, but they
right?
don't all
Maybe.
come from that tournament, so they've
Yeah.
got to come from wherever they're coming.
Yeah.
And so the PGA Tour is a conglomerate of independent contractors who come from literally
All over.
Asia or Europe or US or Canada or wherever they're coming from to play in this week's tournament. So that's all. It's different than a team. LeBron, let's use that example. He's not the Lakers. But all those guys are like, we got to pay for all these expenses. until the PGA Tour finally with Mickelson. And I think history is going to show Mickelson put a lot of money and solved a lot of problems for a lot of PGA Tour
think he
players.
was right.
As much as he was crucified by a lot of people going, oh, look at Phil. Phil's now doing the Live Tour thing. It's all about Phil and making money. Yeah, Phil got a nice check and he did a lot of. But Phil's point was, a lot of us out here, and not just me, because I've made hundreds of millions playing this game, but a lot of them are over here, and they're trying to call their wives to say, "Yeah, honey, I missed the cut. Sorry, I just missed a couple of putts," and she's sitting there going, mortgage is due.
Yeah, what do we do?
And you by
It's
the
not
way
a glamorous life,
You
man.
missed the cut, which means you still have to pay your caddy and his airfare and your airfare and the hotel room and the rental car and all.
Entry fee, right?
So we lost $7,000 this week. We didn't make any. We lost $7,000, and on top of that, we got our bills to pay.
Yeah.
That's the reality of that, and that's where Phil, I think, is, and a lot of the guys that supported that said, we're like, that's not me, but that's a lot of the people that are out there, Malnati's and different people going, we got to fix this.
That's
They shouldn't
also
have to do it
changed
that.
now.
Yes.
It has.
Because they give them,
it
they give them all
changed.
$500,000.
Yeah.
It changed because
Which I
of
think is great.
But only because they put their feet to the fire.
Yeah.
Well-
PGA Tour is not going to do that on their own.
No.
It changed because competition arose, right? And
Yes.
that's exactly
right.
Well, Phil
Gotta
took it
have
on
competition.
He was right.
Liv said, hey, we're going to give you all this. And the PGA Tour had to go, okay, now we're going to give you all $500,000 to start the year.
Yeah.
Right? And so now you can pay your caddies and do all this stuff without losing money. It took them
It was great.
100 years to do that.
Well, and to your point about, LeBron's not paying for his airfare, but it's not even the LeBron. Think about the guy that's the third string guy on the bench. Well, that guy doesn't pay for his airfare
No,
in the NBA.
or his hotel, or his
LeBron
food,
can
or
pay
anything else.
charter jets. It doesn't matter. Rory can
Hotel,
charter
nothing.
jets. Spieth can
Right.
charter jets. But it's like the Malnati's and those guys, they never
You don't
got
think LeBron
anything.
is
will-
staying in La
no,
Quinta on the weekend?
I will
But-
tell you, those NBA guys, they do pay for the Patron that them and their crew order to the hotel room, because I'm working at a hotel.
Yeah, for the
I
bottle
saw that a
service
lot.
when they go to
Yeah.
Vegas, they're paying
right.
for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what La Quinta means in English?
Oh, hang on.
Please don't say La Quinta.
The five, the Quinta.
No, it was,
the ticket.
It translated as next to Denny's.
Oh, jeez.
I knew
being
that was
serious
gonna be a
about
bad
this.
joke.
I'm
The
not
moment
being
you said
serious.
that,
Why did I even take that
I
seriously?
knew that was going to
Seriously.
be a bad joke.
Well, look, we could go for another 3 or 4 hours. We'll have to have you back. Timm Matthews, the voice of Dallas, I think, is your new moniker. By the way,
Yeah,
look,
mention your shows. Mention the shows that you're on.
I do
for
a
the
show
crowd.
here in Dallas on The Fan called The Game with Timm Matthews on The Fan 105.3 on Sunday mornings. And then I do a podcast for PGA Tour Radio called Golf Talk America that you can pick up anywhere you pick up podcasts. Here, Google, and everywhere else that you pick up podcasts. You can go to The Game. The Golf Talk America with Timm Matthews. So,
now listen, Dion gave himself a nickname.
Yes.
What's yours?
My nickname is, and I didn't give it to myself. My nickname, if you will, is TV Tim. I mean,
That's a good name.
That works.
it is what it is. I mean, I didn't
Tim
give it to
Cup.
myself, but
The
that's what it is.
simple ones
Sorry.
are always the best.
I know.
Right?
Sorry,
TV
but that's what it is.
Tim.
Well, look,
yeah.
thanks for humbling yourself and coming around to us. And,
Oh, thanks. It was
us
fun.
dopes,
Yeah.
and we'll have to do it again. Maybe we'll, I don't know, we'll have Thunder here at some point. But
We're going to be out at the Veritex Bank
I'll be there too.
Championship.
Okay.
Maybe we
I'll come on with-
maybe
yeah,
we come
we'll
on
do
the
it. We'll
show
do it.
when we do the
Yeah, we'll do
podcast.
that.
Yeah,
live
we're
from
going to do
there.
a podcast out there. We're doing the Hammerback Players Lounge.
Yeah.
Oh, look at you guys.
Yeah.
Hammerback.
we've got an omelet station.
Yeah, is
and some
Ed- is Ed
cornhole.
cooking
It's
omelets?
It's going
What's
to be
going
really,
on?
really
We're
great.
making
Omelet
drinks. No, we're
station.
just going to serve
Our
high
sponsor,
noons. That's
High
it.
Noon, might be
Yeah.
out there.
No, they're not our
Or
sponsor. Not
unofficial
official.
we got
sponsor.
to get a Scotch
unofficial.
sponsor. We'll get
Yeah.
a Scotch
Yeah,
sponsor
yeah.
out there.
Johnny
Yeah.
Walker.
I'm telling you, 8 beer. I'll hook you up with 8 beer.
Oh.
Eight beer would be
Get 'em
awesome.
out there.
Wait.
Troy Aikman's beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Aikman's.
Be perfect. Yeah.
Well, good. I'll bring my gallon.
Organic light beer from
I'll bring
Troy
my
Aikman.
1 gallon water jug and we can bond over that, me and Troy. Well, Tim, thanks. Look,
you.
We could talk for hours, but
Okay.
really apprate you being here.
Thanks
Thanks
you.
for doing
I
it.
enjoyed it.
Cheers. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers.
Another episode in the
boys.
books.
Appreciate it.
Dilly dilly.
Flush.